Live Free with Rebecca Bush. I'm so excited that you are tuning in for today's podcast, number 2. Y'all, I just want to put this out there. Like, before we start and before I introduce today's guest, this was an idea that I've had for a long time to do a podcast. And there's a lot that's been like holding me back from jumping in. Like, I felt nervous and I felt like, oh, why would anyone care what I have to say? And what would my angle be? And what's my message? And so I kind of like sat on this concept for a long time and like thought about, well, what should I pursue? Like, what should it be called? What should the messaging be? And like, really, I just want to express how cool this has been. As soon as I committed to doing this, everything started to fall into place. So, like, literally, I said, you know what? I think my angle is going to be this: living free in all aspects of life, a healthy lifestyle, so that you're free from pharmaceuticals and sickness and ailments that might slow you down, living free financially so that you have abundance and, you know, maybe more travel if that's what's important to you, or like really honing in on what you value, living free off the grid and homesteading and growing your own food. But, you know, ultimately it's all of those cool topics, you know, and where you're at in between. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to start this podcast and I'm going to start reaching out to people who I know are doing amazing work in this world. And I'm just going to go for it and ask people to be on this podcast and let's see how it goes. So all I did was I set up a little Calendly link. I started sending it to people that I know are doing cool work in the world. And y'all, literally through the end of the year, every single podcast, all of the upcoming Wednesdays, with the exception of Thanksgiving week, have been booked out. So it's happening. I'm so excited. So I'll release that info soon. But I'm really excited to meet with other movers and shakers. And y'all, this download came to me too. I feel like women need a stage. Like, women are really taking a beating in the world right now. Men winning women beauty pageants and all sorts of kind of just upside down world we're living in today. So you know what? I decided I am going to focus on interviewing women, and I am super, super stoked to invite Tangee to the podcast today. I've actually worked in the natural products industry, so I know like how kind of important it is to really replace a lot of the products that you're using and to like have your home as a sanctuary and a place where you are exposed and utilizing like healthy ingredients and healthy products. And it's so hard to navigate. And so I'm really excited that Tangee's coming onto the podcast today to share her experience. She is absolutely incredible. Y'all, I wish I could play the video from like 2 weeks ago where she was fire spinning at Solar Punk Summit. Oh, it was awesome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It's amazing to be here, an honor to be here.
So share with everyone, if you could, like, I know you're an author and you have so many different fires in the pot. So we've got a lot of juicy different topics we're going to dive into today, including having non-toxic cleaning supplies and non-toxic cosmetic products, but also like conscious parenting and, you know, everything from when you were pregnant with your son to even how you've raised him over the last, it's been 16 years, right? Like that whole process of really just diving in deep and like, wow, like this has been an almost, you know, 2-decade journey of like being a conscious parent and becoming this, you know, version of yourself that's in alignment with your values. Like, do you have anything to share real quick, just off the bat, kind of your journey and what brought you here to this point?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, my son is 14. He's going to be 15 in 3 months. I can't believe it. He's going to be legal to get a job and start driving. It's crazy. But yeah, so it happened about like 15 years ago, 15, like you're saying, 15, 16 years ago, when I really started looking at everything. So what happened was I met, she considered herself a holistic OBGYN, but I don't think she was really holistic. But that's what she advertised as. And so my husband at the time, we went to her, and the moment I told her, it was my first check-in, first time to, get checked. And the moment I said I'm having a home birth, she turned cold. She was very, very cold, very distant. And I'm just asking these questions. And, I just wanted to be transparent. Like, I do plan to have a home birth. And she did not like that answer. And she
Yeah.
ended up giving me a test. She told me to do this test, and she actually gave it to me. It was a glucose test, and it was actually 20 weeks early. And I think she did it on purpose. So I wasn't able, and unfortunately, if you're going to have a home birth, you have to make sure you at least pass one of the tests. There's 2 tests that you have to take with the glucose. The first one I didn't pass, and it was actually very early. And when I found out later that I actually didn't even have to take the test if I was having a home birth, but because I took the first test, I had to make sure that I didn't have any sugar in my diet throughout my whole pregnancy. So, which means everything I was craving, like mashed potatoes, the berries, I can only have certain berries, like fruit, everything that I was craving, I couldn't have. But I saw that as a gift, though. Later on, at the time when I was pregnant and hormonal, I did not see it as a gift. But later on, I realized that it was an absolute gift that this OBGYN gave me, because I really started looking at not just trusting whatever any doctor tells me,
Yeah.
not just trusting anything that people tell me, and to really go in with my intuition. Because when my son was 7 months old, he started having salmon colored bleeding in his cloth diapers. So as a conscious parent, I cloth diapered. I was very eco-friendly, sustainable. I even did a thing called elimination communication, which is where you learn your baby's cues before they're verbal, when they have to use the restroom. And so, but I was really nervous about this for a whole month. Our naturopath pediatrician, she couldn't figure out what was going on, why he was bleeding in his urine. She referred us to a top of the line doctor and the Western medicine. And for a whole month with urine, stool, blood tests, they couldn't figure out what was going on. And I said, that's enough. I'm taking it in my own hands. I'm going in with my own intuition and trusting my gut, trusting my motherly instinct. And I went to an NET, neuroemotional technique, kinesiologist chiropractor. The very first visit, he told me it was the gluten and the dairy in my breast milk.
Wow.
Yeah. And so from there, I went for a 30-day journey, of a detox journey, of just like making sure everything, I logged everything. I don't know how I got my protein, but I think the universe was just surrounding me with protective energy. But for a whole month, I only ate steamed white rice and steamed veggies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No seasoning, no spices, nothing, because we really wanted to see what else it could be besides gluten and dairy, if he was allergic to anything else. So that started my journey of just like the day I could have avocado. Oh my goodness. I love
Glory.
and I actually had moms tell me, they're like, why don't you just get your baby on formula? Why sacrifice what you eat? And I was shocked that they said this. I'm like, why wouldn't I want to give my son the highest nutrition through my breast milk? Like,
Yeah.
I don't see it as a sacrifice. I see it as me giving my son the most highest vibrational nutrition that he can receive. So why wouldn't I want to learn and find out what it is that he's allergic to? He's not celiac, but he is definitely sensitive to gluten and cow dairy. It's only cow dairy. He's okay with goat and sheep cheese, but the way that they produce and make cow cheese, he can't do.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. Like, it seems as if there's such a just initial oh, something's wrong with you, take these pills, take these pharmaceuticals, instead of like analyzing a diet or analyzing the supplements you're taking. It's like there's such a quick, like, oh, then go ahead and take this, pharmaceutical solution, rather than looking at the nutrition and everything you're putting into your body, which is like part of yourself. Like, it's crazy that that's not considered. Oh my gosh. So I am new at all this podcast and YouTube fancy schmancy setup. I cannot figure out how to get both of us on the screen right now. I might have to call John over here. I'm like, what the heck is happening?
That's the greatest, it's, you don't have to be tech savvy to create, to create, right? There it is.
Oh, there it is. Woo! See y'all. just a little experimentation here. Yeah. And like, I think too, part of the reason of like having this conversation about like what you put in your body and then it impacts your son. And it's all like this holistic approach to life in general of like being able to shift, being able to evolve. And, you know, like we put on, of course, the Exit and Build Land Summit, which you were amazing. You helped us with our childcare there. I actually have pictures. I'd like to pull those up in a sec. I can screen share if I can figure out the tech. But the reason I wanted to bring that up is because, you know, at that event, we had so many people saying all this homesteading stuff is great, all the talk of eco villages and living in intentional community, but I'm not there yet. Like, I'm still kind of figuring out and understanding like even the practical steps of day-to-day life of like what I put in my body. Like, oh, this Febreze that I'm spraying in my house and in my couch, like whenever I spray it, I get sick or I feel like I have a headache or whatever. And so we actually as if we're not working on enough projects here at Live Free Academy, we decided to put on the Exit and Build Health Summit. And that's why I thought it'd be cool to chat with you because, you know, from a perspective of, you know, diet, supplementation, even communication, mental, spiritual health, like what, do you have anything to share in that regard? Like where can people start with this? Like to have a non-toxic home, have a sanctuary in their home, have a space where they can raise their kids and not have to worry about, like, for instance, having these reactions that maybe negatively impact day-to-day life and all the inflammation that can be caused by something as simple as even like, oh, I shouldn't be drinking cow milk, or oh, my body doesn't react to this well. Are there like products or like things you can say first and foremost, like, I mean, even like seventh generation and these mainstream brands that say they're natural are all like bought out by BlackRock and like completely sabotaged. Like, oh, I thought Burt's Bees was healthy. No, it got bought out by so-and-so or Tom's of Maine. Like, do you have any suggestions for folks who are like, where do I start with this? Like, what should I do? I mean, you've been at it for a while. Like, what do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's why I felt like with that OBGYN, it was a gift because it really allowed me to start researching myself, to go and do the research. We have so many different, you know, especially with the internet now, like we have so many resources. And so it's going and doing the research, you know, looking it up. I have to remember what I have an app, so I have to look for it. But there's an app where there's several apps. You can look and just see, like Think Dirty. So Think Dirty is an app.
Oh, yes, with all the ingredients. I have that.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy to have you scan something that says it's natural or, oh, no parabens or whatever, but then it's like really bad on the list still. Like,
Yeah.
what? Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Like you think, okay, anyway, but yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's like a great one to use.
Yeah. And that's exactly, it's like looking to find out. There's so many different resources out there and apps that you can use. But I feel like it's just, I mean, we didn't have that when I had my son. I didn't have all those resources. Like I just looked at books. You know, I did look online, but we didn't have as many apps. It's just researching it, you know, looking it up, like really seeing, like palm oil. Palm oil is something that I definitely look into because palm oil is in everything. It's in our makeup, it's in our cleaning supplies, it's in our food, everywhere you look. And there's 100 different names that they use for palm oil: palmitate, stearic acid. Like, you know, you looking it up. And the reason why I talk about palm oil is because it's detrimental to the Amazon and to Mother Earth and our planet because of and they're killing off the orangutans because of it. And so these are the things, you know, the ecosystem is to really look at, like, what are we supporting?
Yeah, through our dollar and through our purchase.
Yes, it's not only what we're putting into our bodies, what companies are we supporting, you know? And like you said, like they're bought out. A lot of them are bought out, and you think that they're healthy and they're green, but there's so many different loopholes, just like
Yeah.
the 100 names for palm oil. And like fragrance, I learned a long time ago, fragrance and everything, you know, it's healthy and it's you know, no testing on animals, and then they say fragrance, and that's an actual loophole to put chemicals into your products.
Yeah, I think it's oh, I'm having the same issue where I can't pull both of us up at the same time. Oh, there we go. Okay. Like this fancy new little program that we are using, so I'm just learning as I go. But yeah, so like I used to sell this tooth powder product, and I would go to like Natural Products Expo and all the like holistic dental association and these cosmetic and beauty shows, and there was this way to analyze data of like what products were selling the best. It's called spins data, like whenever a barcode gets scanned, and the trends in buying products that didn't have this awareness of like products having toxic shit and crap in them basically was like exploding. So literally this charcoal tooth powder that I sold was like all the big brands started hopping on because they're like, oh my gosh, people want natural. They don't want sulfates. They don't want all these bad ingredients. So even though most of them still do have bad ingredients, it was the crazy experience to see us from going like a farmer's market brand that would like, sell it to the local community. Oh, now dentists are stocking it. Oh, now we're in Sprouts. Oh, now we're in CVS. And all these big stores are like, whoa, people want like toothpaste that doesn't say on the package, oh, this is poisonous if you swallow it, called poison control. Like, what? Why are we putting that in our mouths? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But are there like products that you can think of? Like, I mean, to me, it can be overwhelming because even like trying to be, I think, aware of most of the ingredients that I use and that our family uses, it's challenging to spend your dollar on products unless you like trust the source and know the source. And that really can take a lot of like legwork and research. I remember we were messaging about, you said there was like a water, it's like a medical grade water solution. You can use it for cleaning sprays and stuff like that. Do you want to share about that so that maybe that's a way to kind of one and done figure out how to kill a few or, kill off a few of these, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. And it kind of resolves all of the different needs for housing, cleaning supplies or like cosmetics and that, it's so you don't have to like find all these different brands. But so I'm not familiar with what it's called, but if you want to share real quick on that.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. And I'm all about finding, I'm really passionate. I know you are too. I know you and John are as well, but I'm really passionate about finding positive solutions for environmental regeneration. Just like solar panels, right? And just like permaculture, it's like finding ways. It's not just about saying no to plastic straws anymore or saying no to plastic
Yeah.
bags. We have to like think more progressively of like really the bigger picture. Like, yes, saying no to plastic straws and plastic bags, absolutely. And finding positive solutions for environmental regeneration. And I feel that I found this in this electrolyzed reduced water. It's actually considered like you were saying, a medical grade water device in Japan, and it's actually an ionizer called Kangen. And there's over 100 uses to actually green your whole home. So it's not only the highest vibrational water, because truthfully, people say you are what you eat, but we are 70% water.
Yeah.
Fruits and vegetables are 70% water.
The earth.
The earth is 70% water. So it's not about what you are, what you eat. You are what you drink. And not all water is created equal. And so when I started really looking into this product, and this is when I back a product or a company, I really look at the history of it. And I really, as you can tell, I do my research, like really making sure that this is something that I can align with, because if I'm going to share it, I want it to be something that's really authentic to who I am and my values and my family. And when I started looking at it, I started seeing all the different uses that I can do. And I can clean it like it's a sanitizer. It actually has a certain pH level that creates hypochlorous acid, and it is non-toxic, and it cleans better than bleach.
Wow.
It's non-toxic. So I sanitize my counters, I clean my toilets with it. And I used to just use water and vinegar and essential oils to try to mask the vinegar because it doesn't smell good.
It doesn't smell good.
That's cleaning. I was like, well, at least I'm being, healthy.
Yeah.
But with this, now I can just use the 2.5 and sanitize my whole home. The 11.5, I actually can use it for my laundry. Like, I don't get laundry soap anymore. I actually did a test. I have a 24-year-old cat, and she doesn't make it in the kitty litter as much as she used to. She's 24. And so I have reusable pee pads for her. And so I tested it. My son's dad, he wanted to still get laundry soap. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not using a laundry soap. That's also plastic that goes into the landfills and the ocean. So I'm not going to support that, but, he chooses that. And I'm like, why not? Let's just use this. And he's like,
Yeah.
great, you're right. And so I did a test. I wanted to see if his laundry soap would clean as good with the 2.5 that I was using to sanitize it and clean it. And the soap that I used, it still smelled like pee. It was still stinky. And then I used the 2.5 and the 11.5. I used the 2.5 because of the smell and then sanitizing. And then I used 11.5 because it's a degreaser. It's an oil emulsifier. And so it takes any oils or anything, stains, anything else out. And I kid you not, it did not smell at all. So I was like, wow, this thing that has a plastic bottle that's mainly water anyways, that's in it. It's not really all, the chemicals and water that's in it versus what I was using with this machine. And so
And how do people learn more about that? Like, do they isn't there that master class or how can people find your website? I'm happy to pull it up right now. I found one on your Alchemy for the Solo Mama Warrior website. There's a quick link. I'll type it in, and that way it's up on the screen. People can find it.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a masterclass on this Friday. So if anybody would like to learn more, I'm going to be teaching a masterclass on the environmental regeneration and just finding a positive solution for our health and wellness and for the planet. And it's also an amazing way to also look at our wealth consciousness, because a lot of times we are the ones that are conscious, the ones that are wanting to make a difference. I'm finding it that a lot of times they're in a lack and scarcity mindset, or they have this mindset that, because they're spiritual, they shouldn't be making money. I absolutely feel that it is our ethical duty and responsibility to find conscious ways, multiple channels of wealth, so that we can be the beacons of light, so that we can be the ones that are being the change that we wish to see in the world. And in our world, it has to do with money, right? That's the currency, right? And speaking of currency, it's like going back to water. If you think about it, all money has to do with water. Currency.
Yeah, I listened that on the webinar that you sent me. It was like cash flow, income stream, finance pool. Like, what? I never thought about it that way. It makes so much sense though, energetically.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I'm going to be teaching a class on Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
What's the website? Here, I'll type it in.
Yes. So it's, I'm trying to remember. We just created the name of it. Let me see.
What I can do is post it on the chat. So after this, y'all just check the YouTube chat, check Telegram. I'll make sure that it's there so that folks can tap into that. And I feel like too, with being healthy and with changing the products that you use and what you interact with on a day-to-day basis, when you are in a good place with your health, you're physically, then you're able to have healthier communication because you don't have a headache, you're not hangry, you're not having blood sugar issues, you feel good. And that allows you inwardly, not only that's a benefit, but then outwardly to give yourself to your family, to your kids, to the world, in a more productive way. So it's all connected, and it's also important if we want to live this free lifestyle. There's nothing more sacred and nothing more important than how we treat our own body and our own temple. I feel that wholeheartedly. But on the topic of parenting, so I see you have a lot out there in the world on conscious parenting. And so talk about your book. What is your book called? What is it about? What's the gist of it? And I just would love for you to share on that.
Yeah. So it's called Taming Your Wild Child, 7 Proven Principles for Raising Connected and Confident Children. And it's not about taming our children's behavior. It's about taming the inner wounded child of us adults, and breaking that recycled parenting patterns that we were raised in, the trauma that we were raised in. And trauma can look many different ways. It doesn't have to be, abuse. It could be verbal abuse. It could be being in school for 8 hours a day. So it can vary. So I'm really, really passionate about finding ways to create a deeper connection within ourselves, with our inner child and our children and our teens. Like, I don't believe in timeouts. I don't believe in punishment. However, it's not permissive parenting. It's about going with the underlying unmet need for our children, to seeing like what really is going on. And we were talking about how society is all about the quick fix, right? Just popping a pill and you'll feel better. It's like, that's the band-aid. That's not getting to the root of the issue. And so a lot of these things with our children, when they are behaving a certain way that we would like them not to, right? We're trying to control their behavior and their emotions and their feelings. It's really not about that. It's about how can we really see what is going on for them, like being able to compassionately communicate, mutual respect. It's not the hierarchy, do as I say because I'm the parent, because I said so. Like, that is like chalk. It's like nails in a chalkboard, because I said so. I was raised in I'm 50 years old, so I was raised in the era where children should be seen and not heard.
Right.
And I didn't have my voice. So a lot of us, our voices are stifled. So only, and there's actually like, there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And so a lot of, for me, I was fawn. I was the people pleaser. I just wanted to have the peace in the home. And so then that's what actually, how I was in my relationships in my relationships with my son's dad, and relationships with other men. Like, growing up, like, I just wanted to be the people pleaser, and I didn't have my voice. And so a lot of times when we get triggered, our children are our biggest teachers, right? They're our biggest button pushers. When we get triggered, it's really not about them. When we get triggered by someone else, when our nervous system gets activated, it is a memory, is an experience where we didn't feel appreciated, loved, accepted, acknowledged,
Mm-hmm.
approved of growing up.
Yeah, I feel like also, like, I'm a step parent and I have two kiddos. They're 12 and 10 and a half. And it's like taught me so much about myself. Also, like, through them, it's actually helped me level up as a individual and like to really like transform into the best version of myself, because I have this like higher purpose of being there for them, but also like learning from them. And like, it's been such a lovely experience. And seeing them grow up has been such a trip. But like, I really don't think I would be where I am today in my entrepreneurial life, in my personal life, my spiritual life, had it not been for them. And like learning together and like having that co-creative experience and like allowing them a container where they feel safe to like express themselves and like be heard, and not just, like you said, seen and not heard. Like, it's so different nowadays. Like, there's this, I think, elevation of human consciousness, and even like having effective communication and like nonviolent communication, and like talking about our needs, talking about our emotions and observations, and then making requests. Like, it's so healthy and so lovely. I wanted to ask you though too, because you talk about, being a single mom and like having entrepreneurship as the means to really have that connection too, where you can provide for your son, like provide for yourself. Like, what would you say in terms of, like, we were speaking about cash flow and income streams and things, like, it seems like you've done a really good job like stepping into your power and like pursuing things that you're passionate about and things that you love, and then that like has guided you to give your gifts to the world. And like, do you have anything to share for fellow entrepreneurs, fellow humans who are like trying to step into their like alignment with their purpose, and like maybe leave a 9-to-5 job and like really kind of pursue a more alternative way of bringing in income? Any advice for folks out there who are just taking that first step?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was talking a little bit about this earlier. It's finding multiple streams of income, multiple channels of wealth. Like, for me, I'm a quantum coach for reparenting and spiritual evolution. So my passion, my mission, my soul's purpose is really on conscious parenting and reparenting generational trauma. So that we can break the recycled parenting patterns. And so, however, as a coach, I'm trading time for money. As healer, and it just I was exhausted because I'm not only a single mom, but I also unschool my son. He's been homeschooled all his life. In the last 2 years, I started unschooling him. And it's been a beautiful journey, absolutely beautiful journey. However, I was exhausted. I was
Yeah.
wearing out. Yeah. So I truly feel like it's even though we have our soul purpose, it's like, and we can have our soul purpose, but from a space and vibration that aligns with us, where it is something that brings us joy, not something that has to put food on the table. And so
Yep.
that's what was happening for me. It's my joy and my mission and soul purpose, but it was coming from lack and scarcity because I needed to get food on the table. And so it wasn't becoming joyful for me anymore. It wasn't in a high vibrational space. And so then that's when I started really looking at how can I create something or align with something where it can pay me back with return on investment. So it's something where
Mhm.
I'm investing in myself, I'm investing in my health and wellness. And so that's where I found this online business where it's an educational platform that teaches you how to build a personal brand online, how to do Instagram story ads, how to do Facebook ads, how to do story content. And at the same time, it's also aligning with high ticket affiliate marketing
Yeah.
because it's not just low tickets. Like as a coach, I'm doing one-on-one. I'm trading time for money. I can only have so many clients a day,
Oh.
right? And so with
It did the reverse of what I thought it would do. Yeah, well, I mean, so and on that topic, it's like, nowadays, oh, it went right back to that, didn't it? Okay. So
yeah,
nowadays it's like, people for so long, it's like, where is your income stream coming from? If you don't show up for work and work those hours the next day, like your income stream is cut off because you're not trading your time directly for money. So like shifting that to an alternative where it's like you do the online course or you're like, putting that information out there, sharing and writing a book or this, whatever, you end up pursuing. But if you were to, not work the next day, do you still have streams of income coming in? Like, and shifting it so that then you have abundance and you're not having to operate out of scarcity. And it seems like, through some of the painful experiences in many people's lives, they're able to take what they've learned, share that, and help others so they, maybe can learn from that. And so I think that's really beautiful. Hey,
yeah.
we have a few questions if you're
Oh,
down. So this lady who Wild Blue, well, I shouldn't presume that that's a lady, I suppose. We don't know, but what do you think of using Norwex brand cleaning cloths? They are supposed to be used without chemicals or just water. Have you heard of those?
I'm not as familiar with Norwex. I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar with it enough. Um, for me, I use my Kangen machine because it's
Yep.
2.5 and I just use rags. So I use
Kangen, Kangan.
GEN. Yeah, it's electrolyzed, reduced, hydrogen rich ionizer. So it's not, people will get confused. And I have to also want to say one thing. A lot of people will say, oh, alkaline water is actually bad for you. This is actually not alkaline. And a lot of the alkaline water that you see in stores, it is, they put chemicals in it to make it alkaline.
We have someone else saying, just go carnivore and eliminate all the toxins. All seed oils are bad for us. That was probably from earlier, but you were kind of speaking on that earlier with diet. Do you have anything to share on that from your experience?
It's so funny. I have a couple of friends that are going completely carnivore. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. For me, I mean, I'm a intuitarian. So for the longest time, I was vegetarian. My dad's been a vegetarian since 1981. So I was raised around that. But I feel the thing that I feel that's the most toxic also is our mindset and going down the deep end with everything. So because I
Yeah.
was doing that. I was like vegetarian. I was like, no, we only have organic. We only do non-GMO. We only do this. And yes, I still do that. However, I don't do in the sense of like, no, you like if my son has soda, he's a teen now. He got soda the other night. Like, okay, you got soda. Okay, just drink some Kangen water afterwards.
Yes,
Wash
it's
out
all
your
about
system.
moderation. I do something, and I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist, and so this is probably bad advice, but I do diet anarchy. and I just listen to my body. Like,
Yep.
there's days where I literally won't eat until like 5 o'clock at night, and I just kind of fast all day, and I have the best energy levels, and I'm kicking butt. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I should eat. But I think, like you were saying, a lot of the hardship comes when you overthink things. And it's like, really, if you're looking for a wipe to clean, like, you could use tea tree oil. Like, you could get a wipe and spray, a water bottle, put a couple drops of tea tree oil, or melaleuca, it's also called.
Yeah.
I mean, there's solutions that are, one, more affordable, and two, smell great, so you don't have to use the vinegar, but also will help. And then if you add that water that you're speaking about, sounds like that's kind of a win-win.
Right.
So
And
yeah, I
there's
love.
one thing also with like, I wanted to go back to like with our produce, because we're talking about food, like even organic has loopholes. I actually was talking
Mhm.
to a friend who worked for the trucking company, and it was grown organic on a farm. And then when they were transporting it, they actually had a spray. They sprayed
Ah,
it in the truck. It wasn't pesticides, but it was some type of chemical to to make it last longer. And so when I started looking at that, and that's what I also appreciate with the Conga machine, because it's the only one where you can actually remove pesticides. So the 11.5 in the machine actually is an emulsifier, like it removes oil. So that's why it can clean stains out of carpets. It can clean stains out of
yeah,
clothes. It can remove, because a lot of the pesticides are oil based, because when it rains, they want to make sure the pesticides stay on. And
yeah.
so when I started looking at this and I started soaking my fruits and vegetables, even though I got organic, I was like, okay, let me try my organic tomatoes. Like
You still can see it.
it was disgusting. And that's when I started researching more on organic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's looking at your labels, it's doing the research, and also having the balance of not going off the deep end, because our minds can be just as toxic.
Yeah, it's like a rabbit hole, and then you just get in a mindset of like, oh, I'll never find a solution for me. But I
Yeah.
like the idea of like the elimination diet too, of like, hey, if you want to see if you have a allergy to gluten, just eliminate it from your diet for like 2 weeks. Just try it and see if you feel better. Like, little simple
Yeah.
changes can go a long way in, improving. Like, even John eliminated gluten from his diet, and I can see in photos from, years ago, where his face was inflamed. And it's like, and he says now, he's older, sure, but his energy levels are even better than back then. You can see it like in his face visually. But yeah, small little changes and testing things out. And like, I have friends too who have expressed chronic migraine issues. And I'm like, well, just do you use Glade plugins? And they're like, on different occasions, oh no, do you use Febreze, or are you using Tide, or these like really strong scented products? Like, we'll just remove that and see if that helps. And it's crazy how, if you're in your car and you have one of those little tree air freshener things and you have a headache, it's like, let's
Yeah.
put two and two together here. Like, what are you breathing in? They're like, get that out of your diet, and maybe that, not diet, but like your environment, and maybe that will help. But yeah, I could go on and on about how
I
stuff
know.
is. It's like,
Got
oh
on
my
this
gosh,
all
there's
day.
so much. Yeah, and we're doing the Exit Build Health Summit because I feel like there is so much information. It can be overwhelming, like you said, going down these rabbit holes and feeling defeated, and like, it's all about mindset. And what we did with the Exit Build Health Summit, we're doing like a 5-day event, and it's going to have different topics like diet and exercise and supplementation, and things that are easy to digest. But yeah, I think it's good to talk about these topics as well, because it's like, you could change your diet, you could do a lot of different things, but the water you drink and these daily decisions and the cleaning supplies, like, it all adds up, and it can become an overload like in the system. So really good to be aware of all of those small things accumulating into bigger things. But let
Yeah.
me have you close out too by saying how people can follow your work. And I found a link. I know people think that Jeff Bezos is evil, but I did find a link to your book. I just typed it in on Amazon. So
Okay. Okay.
their
That's
website. If you send me, I'll put everything in the description. So like, shortly after this, if you just shoot over some ways that people can stay in contact with you, and I'll put it on the description in the video. But
yeah.
yeah, to close out, any closing thoughts, anything to share?
Just really just when it comes to like conscious living and conscious parenting, like it's all interconnected, right? And so it's really just also trusting your intuition, like really going within and really, if you've got questions and you're like, you're wondering, especially with everything that was happening with the global awakening, right? I like to call it the global awakening. It's like really not following the herd, like really just checking in with yourself and asking these questions. Ask these questions, look for the information, research it, and don't only just go with what is being said, like the popular thing, and really just diving in and looking at different avenues for the information for your health and wellness. And it's really just taking that first step, right? Just taking that first step, just saying, okay, I'm choosing to live healthier, think
Yeah.
healthier, breathe healthier, drink healthier, eat healthier. Like it's just choosing. Choosing is the
Yeah.
first step. And then taking aligned action. You can't just think it, but it's also taking radical responsibility and taking aligned action.
Yeah, and reclaiming your health sovereignty one small
Yes.
decision at a time. And then it's like micro miracles. Like then, it all adds up and makes a difference. But
Yeah.
it was so lovely speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. I so appreciate you and bearing with me through my technical difficulties as I learn how to use this sophisticated program that John has set up here in the studio. So, but I really appreciate it. And thank you also for, being there at the at the Land Summit and facilitating that amazing childcare program. That was lovely. And I gotta say, I really want to meet up and do a fire spinning class. So I'm just throwing that out there and hoping that it
Yes.
sticks.
Absolutely.
That was so awesome seeing you dominate at Solar Punk Summit. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Someone
Yeah,
said
it's
one last
been really
comment. They
confining.
said,
Oh,
I skip makeup and creams and antiperspirant stuff. I make goat milk soap. That's all I use.
nice. That's awesome. I love that you mentioned antiperspirant because, and with makeup and stuff, because I actually, at 50, real quick, at 50, I was actually going through some hormonal stuff, and any deodorant I was using, it, it didn't work basically. And so then I started using the 2.5 for my Kangen machine, with two different essential oils. And that crystal,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I use that,
Like
and
refill it.
completely, I don't have any BO at all.
I love it. Well, y'all check the description here in the next 10 minutes, or if you're watching the replay, I'm going to have the link so you can learn about the Kangen machine and get some water solutions because we are water. Water is life. And
Yes.
thank you so much for your time. I'm also going to link to your book. And it sounds like you've got a course coming up this weekend. So let's stay connected. And if there's anything I can help share, different projects you're working on, it's just so lovely having you on today. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you too and everything that you and John are doing. It's an honor to be on here with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So much gratitude. All right. I will sign off then and let you go. Let me just do a quick outro. Did I do it? Oh, I figured it out. Okay. Yeah, that was my rock on symbol. So thanks y'all for watching. This is so important. Every decision we make on a daily basis, the dollars we spend on different products, it's like voting in a sense for that company to be successful, or that local farmer or that local farmer's market booth to be successful, or just getting a solution for your living quarters where you have goats and can make your own goat milk soap. That's pretty cool. But, it's also all a trade-off, like time, and, maybe it makes sense to barter. And so I think, all these small little steps, whether it's just stepping back from those mainstream brands first and foremost and kind of switching on to ones that are more natural, or ending up buying your own machine and having, your own cleaning supplies that you can make with essential oils. These are all important steps to live a free, prosperous, and healthy life. And it all starts with the decisions we make on a daily basis. So I hope that you feel empowered to make some of those transitions today, sharing this information with friends and family. I would love for y'all to subscribe to my YouTube channel. My goal is to have over 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. I'm at a little under 1,000 right now, so please do subscribe to Live Free with Rebecca Bush. I so appreciate you all. And look at this real quick. I'm going to put in the description information so you can keep in touch with Tangee. Look, we have a website. So here's the one for this week. Oh, on Facebook. Okay, perfect. So I know that this was all on healthy living and kind of reclaiming the health of your home and sanctuary where you live, and having a non-toxic sanctuary with cleaning supplies. But it's also, more broad, and it's about having a healthy relationship and being the best version of yourself so that you can then give yourself outwardly. And so if you're healthy, you're happy. If you're happy, you're able to share your gifts with the world. And that is what it is all about, and doing the things you love. I just want to close out by saying we are going to have another good friend on the show next week. So Ariel is going to be on the show, and y'all, she takes it to another level too with this. Okay, packaging, plastic packaging. She doesn't use it. She just won't buy products if it has plastic packaging. Plastic, when it gets warm and it's leaching all the bad ingredients and things. So she, is really all about off-grid living and homesteading and living a lifestyle so in line with nature. So I just love that we have all these powerful women, sharing these stories. And it all starts with, learning and then applying, and then those action steps becoming habits, and then habits becoming essentially, the fabrication of who we are, and as an individual, but then outwardly as a species. So I think this is so lovely that all these cool different tactics are being shared. I hope you guys are getting a lot out of it. Feel free to comment. Tell me if you liked this topic, and if you want to hear more of that. Usually we'll be discussing living free in terms of getting off the grid and growing your own food. But I think more broadly, having a healthy lifestyle in general, and leading up to the Exit and Build Health Summit, all these topics are so important to explore. And I am glad that you are right here with me doing so. So thank you. Kudos to you. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Live Free with Rebecca Bush. You can go through the history and see all my amazing tiny home videos also, which are on this channel. And you won't be disappointed. They are fun. Financial freedom. Woo! Ooh. On that note, I should have someone who does tiny homes on the show. But anyway, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate y'all. And we are on our journey together to live free. So thank you for watching. And if you have any suggestions, please comment, please message. I am all ears. I appreciate y'all.